Good morning, YouTube. This is Otaku Mom here, and so before I get into the video today, I just want to promote two things today. First thing I want to promote is that is to promote the IndieGoGo project of Oddity, which is a comic book that is being produced by Sean Sweeney, who is the artist, and David Sean, who is the writer. And they have a project going on right now. I was on their live stream last night to help promote the book, and I've been a big backer. I'm going to be a backer soon of the project, and so I think it's going to be cool. It's a cool project. Check it out. I'm going to put a link down below to go to their IndieGoGo campaign. As of the last time I checked, I think they have it like halfway funded, almost a little over halfway funded, because they're at like 54% funded, which is awesome. So I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of the guys. So just keep it up and check it out. And it's great. It looks like it's going to be a great project. So check out their IndieGoGo campaign. I'll put their link down below. Also check out Indie Dave's channel, where he's been promoting Oddity. So check that out. I'll put that link down below too. And the other thing I want to promote, and I'm just going to take my cat off the thing so he doesn't get in front of the camera. So the other thing I want to promote is my son's channel. His channel is CJ Gamer. He's been promoting mine on his, so I'm going to give him the favor. He's 11 years old. He does he's doing playthroughs on video games that he's into right now. So right now it's Forager, Minecraft, and Terraria that he's working on. So if you want to check those out and watch an 11-year-old make bad pee puns, go to his channel. I'll put the link for that down below too. So let's get on to the topic of this video. So my thoughts on anime, past, present, and future. I haven't really talked a lot about anime since I've come on to this channel and started doing the channel. I mean, my name is Otaku Mom. You'd think I'd talk more about anime. But I really haven't had a chance to, because I haven't really started to follow a lot of the more recent stuff until lately. I've had some time over the summer to try to catch up a little bit. And so I just thought it would actually be a good idea to talk about today, just about sort of my history with anime, and how I got into it, and how I got into it, and we're now into a third revival of how I got into it. So to a kind of a little bit of my history. So I grew up in the 80s, and one of the shows that was out was a show called Battle of the Planets, and I used to watch that show all the time. In Japan, it was known as G-Force. I guess when they brought it over here, they had to edit it quite a bit, and they actually added some footage with an R2-D2 like robot into the footage, and he was sort of like ended up being like the narrator of the show. So they insert him into certain scenes into the American version, and at the time, I didn't understand what anime was. I think they called it Japanimation when I was a kid. So it was animation from Japan, and they called it Japanimation, and it got switched to just calling it anime. But at the time, being so young, I didn't know that shows would be coming from other countries. So I would watch this show and wondering why the lip flaps didn't quite match what they were saying. And it was also the time when dubs were not very good. So I grew up. I remember this show, Battle of the Planets. I didn't realize it was an anime at the time, or what they called Japanimation at the time. And so I didn't think much of it. As I got older, I'd see these shows, and I'd also heard they'd made like more quote-unquote adult stuff. So that's what I thought a lot of anime was, is like more adult stuff, or fighting robots or whatever. So what kind of actually got me start looking at anime was I was in college, and I was staying with my dad at the time, And so, and on his cable on his cable package, part of that was what they call the anime channel. So I saw some of the shows in there. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll check it out. And the two shows that got my attention on that channel were Excel Saga and Chobits. And Excel Saga is a weird show. Is a weird enough show to weird enough show that you wouldn't think it would get people in anime, but for me it did. I just loved how crazy the show was. It was just too funny. And Chobits was one of those shows. I just really liked the story of Chobits. And then actually that anime got me collecting the mangas, of which I have all the mangas for Chobits. And that anime got me actually collecting the manga for it. And so I just absolutely loved it. So I tried to find some other ones at that time that I would like. And I mean, I found a couple of other ones around the time, but I didn't really like get into it. I mean, I go to the bookstore occasionally and check out, see what they have for mangas and whatever, but I didn't really get into it until my stepkids started getting into it. So they started getting into it because they were introduced through like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon and all those other ones. So, and I knew that my stepson had was into mangas because he like issues of Shonen Jump that he left in our car. So what we would do. So one Christmas, I decided to check out the mangas that were there. Check out the mangas in the bookstore. I gave him a couple of volumes of a particular manga. So we went to the store, and I went to the store and saw this one called Death Note. And I looked at the back. I said, "Oh, this actually sounds interesting." So I got him the first couple of volumes, and apparently after getting the first couple of volumes, him and his mother had decided to went online and got the rest of them. So he has the entire collection. So I'm like, okay, I'm glad he liked it that much that he would get the rest of them on his own. And then I went online, and then I was online on a website, and somebody had mentioned Death Note, and I'm like, it's actually popular. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't really know it was popular or not. So I didn't realize it was actually a popular one. So I went online and I saw that there was some issues regarding to controversy surrounding the manga. I'm like, and my first reaction is, what did I just do? And did I get him something inappropriate without realizing it? So I noticed there was an anime of the manga. So I decided to check out the anime and absolutely fell in love with it and thought it was a great anime. And my stepson was 14 at the time. So after watching the anime, I'm like, yeah, this will be appropriate for him. It's not a problem. He's not the one that actually makes Death Notes or anything like that. So he's okay. But I love the show. I love the whole cat and mouse aspects of it, and it just got me more and more into what's out there. Okay, so what's out now? So I started getting into that. I got into Neon Genesis Evangelion. I finally watched that for the first time while I was on this run. There's some other ones that I started getting into. Attack on Titan, Puella Maga and Madoka Magica. Those two are some of my favorites, along with the Eva. Stuff like Danganronpa, and some other ones. And so I really got into anime and started following it a little more as to what's out there. I started following each season, and then I got kind of busy, and then I just kind of dropped off for a little while. So for a while there, I wasn't following. Although I'd still watch on occasion, but I wasn't following the way I used to. So recently, my stepson, who's now 25, as sort of a late Christmas gift, he gave me the first season of My Hero Academia. And so I kind of put off watching it for a little bit because I was trying to find time to put on. I finally started watching it this summer, and I thought the show was awesome. I thought the show was so funny and so good, and all that. So I've watched the first 3 seasons. I'm waiting for season 4 to come out, and so it got me. It kind of got me reinterested in not reinterested, but kind of got me back into trying to follow what's out there. So I managed to finish Assassination Classroom. I still got to finish Attack on Titan. I still haven't finished 2nd and 3rd seasons yet. So eventually I'm going to sit down and watch Attack on Titan. I found My Love Story through that one, which I'm not usually into shoujo anime, but that one I really liked. I thought it was very cute. What's another one that I got into? And The New Fruits Basket, which I will talk about a little bit later for my thoughts on it. But for the most part, I've now started to catch up a little bit, so I'm trying to schedule it more, so I'm not like so that I have time to do that, and plus everything else going on in my life. So I'm trying to catch up a bunch of shows that I missed out on the first time around. And I think I only have 2 shows that right now I'm following as they're running. Well, actually, no, 3 now that you count My Hero Academia. But that one hasn't started doing the 4th season yet. So right now, 2 shows that I'm following right now that are currently putting out episodes on a weekly basis. The New Fruits Basket from 2000 for this year, of which they said they are going to follow it and finish the manga. So they're actually going to follow the entire manga story versus the 2001 version, which will follow like halfway through it. Probably because it wasn't finished at the time. So they didn't follow the whole manga. And I also started watching Fire Force, which I find is a very good show. It's an interesting, good show. And so those shows I've been following. So those 2 are the ones I'm following currently. I still gotta finish My Love Story. One Punch Man. Oh, it's on my list to finish up. I've only gotten past the first episode. I haven't gone any further. I don't know why. I love that first episode. I don't know why I haven't gone past it. But anyway, so that's sort of my history with anime. And just to kind of give my thoughts on current. So there's a lot of good shows out there. I mentioned not My Love Story. I mentioned Fruits Basket, which is out now. I mentioned Fire Force, which is out right now. So I've started slowly introducing my son to certain anime shows. He's only 11, so I'm kind of taking the road of, if I know what's in it, and if I think it's appropriate for him, I'll let him watch it. I'm trying to go on the scale of, okay, is it any worse than Shazam? At this point, because Shazam got, as much as I love that movie, it's not meant for really, really little kids. It's meant more for older kids. And, I mean, because there's some parts in there that get really, really rough. And, so I try to base on the scale of, is it any worse than Shazam? When determining whether a show is appropriate for him. So right now, the shows that I haven't that I don't have him watching. He wants to watch these shows. The shows that he's watching right now are My Hero Academia, and I determined that was good for him, and also Assassination Classroom, which is also. Which I determined appropriate for. Because again, is it any worse than Shazam? No, it's not. It's not worse than Shazam. So I let him. Those 2 are the ones I let him watch. He's asked me about Full Metal Alchemist, whether that's appropriate for him. That one I'm a little iffy on, only because of the one storyline involving the chimeras. Because I don't know how you would take that one. And he's asked me about Bleach, which I'm not too familiar with, so if anybody knows anything about Bleach, let me know. which I know I'm familiar with what it is, but I've just never seen the show. He's determined he doesn't want to watch One Piece because it'll take him forever to watch it because it's been on for so long. What's some other ones? There's a bunch of other ones. There's not a bunch he's watching. He's only really watching those two. I'm just kind of monitoring, seeing which ones would be appropriate right now. But anyway, so that's where we are presently. And, you know, as time has gone on, I've also been watching some YouTube videos on certain animes and different aspects of anime lately and whatnot. And it's just been Japan in general also, but also on what's going on with anime and all that. And I think I find it fascinating that mangas are now... the last time I read, mangas are outselling American comic books at the moment. I think a lot of it's because people are discovering mangas. So once they get used to the reading right to left over left to right, they're discovering that they're finding new stories that they could be interested in, because mangas are not all superhero stories. A lot of comics tend to be focused on superhero stories, but mangas are not all superhero stories. They could be comedy, they could be drama, they could be anything you want them to be, and that's the way a lot of mangas are, and that's the way a lot of mangas are, because they could be they're catered to different age groups, and you can follow them in any way. You can follow any type of story, because they're all different types of stories. So they're not just like one genre, but also I think a lot of people are also maybe a little sick of what's going on with American comic books, because you have the whole comics geek thing going on right now, and with a lot of people not liking what they're seeing in American comic books, thinking that feeling that American comic books are going too far in the direction of trying to be social justice warriors, and just getting sick of being preached to. So I think that's a lot of the reason why more are starting to go towards more Japanese manga. And one thing that gets me is that there have also been a couple stories lately about how some people are trying to get these Japanese artists and animators, creators, to try to change for the sake of, oh, we don't do that in America, you got to be more like Americans, and kind of talking about the fan service. It's often in a lot of animes, and about some of the topics that are covered, and it's like, why are you trying to change a culture of another country? You do realize these are not American properties. They're from Japan. They're going to come over here. They're going to reflect Japanese. They're going to reflect Japanese sensibilities. I mean, for the most part, Japan is a very conservative country for the most part. In regards to, not necessarily in regards to their artwork, but for most everything else. You got to remember that, yeah, they have these works that can get violent, they can get rather sexual, they can get anything, but you also got to realize that they have a very low crime rate in Japan. So you really can't blame whatever media they have. I was actually watching a video where somebody was criticizing a BBC reporter for a story that she was doing on a particular type of anime manga, and criticizing makers for making these types of making these types of media and trying to put on, and apparently this interview never aired, but trying to call out the makers for making this type of media. You got to be awful, or like, why can't you be more like the UK and do this? And the guy goes back to, he says, considering your crime rate, why don't you be more like Japan, or something to that effect. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in media does not cause people to do stuff. Honestly, because if it were, I think our crime rate here in the U.S. is probably a lot higher because of Grand Theft Auto. But I mean, I'm not saying correlation equals causation, but crime rates are actually lower now in the U.S. than they have been in years, despite what the news says. I mean, it's still higher than what's in Japan, but it's been lower over the years. And a lot of our, and a lot of anime tries to put a good message about camaraderie and being with your friends and whatnot, and I think that's one of the things I like about is the message behind a lot of anime is the fact that they have this thing of you being your friend, relying on your friends, being part of the community, being a part of society, and doing so, and you can always rely on other people. So because that's the way Japanese society is. You can rely on people, and so as far as the future of anime goes, I think a lot of anime is going to start getting more mainstream and popular. I mean, you have Toonami on Adult Swim, which has started broadcasting anime at the same time it's been broadcasting in Japan. Usually you had to wait like several months. You had to wait for it to go into Japan and then wait several months and then bring it here. I think that actually started with Space Dandy, where the show actually would show here first before it would show in Japan, and so now you have like a company like Funimation who's taking a lot of these anime and they're dubbing it shortly after it broadcasts in Japan, and putting it on the air on Toonami, and also doing the same thing on their channel. So I think anime is going to start to become more and more popular. Manga's already starting to become more popular. I think the same thing may be happening with animes too, as people realize that animation isn't necessarily just for kids, which I think is a big really is a big stumbling block for animation. Even here in the States, a lot of people still think that animation's for kids, when there's actually a lot of good grown-up animation out there. And I'm not talking like hentai or anything like that. I'm talking just like good adult stories and stories that adults can get into. And so I think the future honestly is, I think anime is going to become even more popular than it is right now, and as time goes on, it's gonna get up there. So those are my thoughts. So if you have anything to say, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.